chosen ones, empaths. You see, the narcissists, they mirror you because they have no personality of their own. They actually have no substance of their own. They're social chameleons, right? As I mentioned before in the previous video, you actually fell in love with yourself, right? As hard as that is to hear, you have to understand that everything that you saw good about them, every single little minuscule thing that you saw good about the narcissist was merely a reflection of your own light and self. That's what it was. They mirrored you to such high degrees. You felt like you met a match made in heaven, a soulmate, a companion, a loving counterpart, divine counterpart. You felt like this was ordained by God. You thought it was, or the universe. You felt like it was a match made in heaven. And realistically, you was dealing with a dusty weirdo that mirrored you to such high degrees that you actually fell in love with your own reflection. That is what Narcissus is based on. Narcissus is based on the Greek mythology of a man who was told that he would fall in love with the first sight of what he saw, and he looked in the reflection in the water and fell in and killed himself. And this is what we dealt with, right? This is the origin of the word narcissist, which is actually narcissist now. The origin of the meaning of the word. You've got to really understand it mirrored you so good. They got us good with the mirroring, Take your hats off to them. Wow, they mirrored us. Pardon me, sorry. Big deal. They mirrored us. But it's actually because there's no substance. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. They're empty vessels. And they're empty vessels with, if you compare them to what it is with the good, the positive, the angelic, the godly, the empty vessels. They're devoid of all of that. And they're filled up with nothing but hatred and lies, manipulation, mirroring. And if you really get it down to the core of what they are, they're very boring individuals. They've got that weird look in their eyes, like the whole relationship was functioning off your energy source. The whole relationship, the whole dynamic, everything was based off what you gave. It was not one tiny, I'm not talking 90%, 10%, I'm talking 100%. It was all based off what you done and what you provided. There is nothing they done. Everything that you see as good was merely a reflection and a mirroring tactic that they used to manipulate you and exploit you and be able to get more and more and more energy from you and get you doing more and more and more things for them. There is absolutely nothing there at all. Not one thing, not 1%. I'm telling you now, it is literally 100% of all of your energy that you put into that relationship. And there's nothing that they put into it because they don't have anything to give. Please press the like and the subscribe button. Help your brother out. It will take 2 seconds of your time. But I'm telling you, the mirroring is done to such high degrees. So they'll be off, they'll mirror a new supply. They realize that it's not as potent as us. Yeah, they'll realize that very soon on. They'll realize that. They'll fall into regret. They'll realize they made the wrong choices. But they'll mirror, they mirror like second. It's just second. It's innate nature to them to mirror because they walk around with a mask. So they always say that empaths are people pleasers. No, empaths aren't people pleasers. We're fixers, we're problem solvers. Yeah, but they're people pleasers. They're the ones that sit across from the other person and tell them everything they want to hear. That's a people pleaser. Empaths are quite outspoken with their truths. Empaths say some things. Truth's not always pretty. Truth's not always sunshine and rainbows. And we speak our truths. We speak our minds. That's what chosen ones and empaths do. Honesty is a rare trait in this world, especially in this world. It's very rare. And we're very rare. We're very unique that we're able to speak our truths. And we scared them with how truthful we actually was. You know, we scared them. Our truth was so powerful, right, that they ended up being more or less intoxicated by the mirroring that they had to actually be succumbed to, or they actually had to be subdued to, because they had to mirror back that they're just as truthful and honest as us. That's what they had to mirror back to us, which led them down a path of being a prisoner within their own mind, which led them down a path of going down a route that they cannot actually live up to realistically. It was eventually going to collapse like a stack of cards. It was eventually going to, like a house of cards. It was eventually going to collapse, you know, because they're mirroring all of this stuff. You know, we say we like pasta. They say they like pasta. We say we like pizza. They say they like pizza. We say we like, you know, and that's just basic stuff. But it happened on more intricate levels than that. It happened on levels beyond your comprehension. The mirroring was done. You know, I'm talking about spirituality. So when you told them your spiritual practices, what you believe in, what you know, whether you believe in this, if you worship in this way God, or you worship in that way, they mirrored everything. They studied you like a book. They studied you like a book, you know, like you're actually studying for an exam at school, you know. And then they had to step up to the mark. And there was little times throughout the time where there was a split in the facade. There was a split. And many times when I look back in retrospect, I more or less had a split in my psyche. I always had a split in my psyche throughout the whole entire relationship, you know. So imagine in one hand you have everything they're saying they are, and then in the other hand you have what your heart and your gut's telling you. And I look back in retrospect, it wasn't as great as I'm making out. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, because there was plenty of red flags, but it was only because I had my fuzzy love goggles on, which why I wasn't seeing the red flags. I wasn't seeing it, you know. That's basically why it went on for as long as it did, because I was looking through fuzzy love goggles, you know. And love is a form of intoxication anyway, if it's done in the wrong way. And because we was mirrored to such a high degree, it did intoxicate us. It intoxicated us like what a drug would do, like what, you know, yeah, like what a drug would do. Because you felt like you had someone who was your divine companion, someone who was your soulmate. You felt like they were your ride or die, and they just mirrored you so well. Well, not even so well. They just mirrored you to such high degrees that you fell in love with your own reflection. And then they had to live a life being confined and a prisoner in their own mind. They couldn't speak their mind. They couldn't speak their truths. Things they disagreed with, but they earlier on agreed with you. They couldn't then turn their heels in the sand and say, no, I don't believe in that, or I don't agree with that. They just had to carry on, you know, suck it up, soak it up, and carry on. And that's what they did for as long as they could possibly go. And that's why you saw when God finally exposed them, or the universe finally exposed them, you saw the unmasking, whether you were discarded or they pushed you too far, so you had to cut them off, you know. Eventually, I know we always have the final discard anyway. We always have the final discard. When we door slam bolt and world is shut, that's the final discard. A narcissist is never done with you. A narcissist is never done with you. They're absolute weirdos, especially when they encounter a chosen one, especially when they encounter an empath. It drives them insane because they've took on all of these traits of us through their mirroring. It's part of their DNA now. It's part of their fabric. It's part of what they take into their future relationships. You know, they'll tell the story. Oh yes, I'm very truthful. They'll put this facade on in their new relationship as well, right? Bits and bobs they picked up of you, and they'll take bits and bobs that they learned of someone else, and they'll take bits and bobs, and they'll compile this figment of their imagination, and they'll portray themselves in that way. But it will never be like at the same degree of like illusionary value that we had for them. You know, the highest possible heights they can achieve is when they was with a chosen one or an empath, and they know that. They know that themselves. They're not stupid. They know that. They're absolute weirdos. They know that. They know it deep down in the core of their spirit. They will never amount to what they got with you. They will never be able to get the supply source they got from you. You know, they can go and mirror some other toxic individual. It's not really going to do them any favors. They can go and mirror some psychopath or sociopath or the other toxic individual or another narcissist. You know, what are they going to achieve by mirroring them? It's like trying to draw blood from a stone, trying to get energy out of a narcissist, a psychopath or sociopath. You know, these are a lot of proper deranged individuals. So anyway, thank you for watching today. Please press a like and a subscribe button. If you'd like to donate to the channel, you can find the link in the description box. And if you'd like a one-to-one session with myself, you can find the link in the description box. So anyway, I'll be back with another video soon. Peace.